So we have Economics Paper 2, May, June 2019. The first question, they said, in 2017, Turkey's deficit on the current account of the balance of payments increased to $4.2 billion. This increase in the deficit on the current account is most likely to have resulted from, when we talk about deficit, it simply means that we have a current account deficit of balance of payment if our import, the value of import exceeds the value of export. That's one of the reasons why we could have a current account deficit. So here they said an increase in the value of import, an increase in the value of import in relative to export to bring about a current account deficit. So the answer is A. But let's check other options there. B, an increase in the value of export. An increase in the value of export is expected to improve the balance of payment current account, not put it into deficit. So it's not B. A decrease in government spending. Government spending does not have anything to do with current account balance of payment. So it is not B. And if it doesn't have anything to do with it anyway. And D, a decrease in employment. Current account deficit. A deficit in current account will mean that importation increases. And if importation is increasing, if importation would have increased because aggregate demand within the economy is increasing. As a result of that, income level would have increased. So it is not a decrease in employment. So a decrease in employment will increase income level, which will bring about increase in consumption. So might not be as a result, which might not be the reason why we have a current account deficit. Question 2. They said the table shows Malaysia's rate of inflation between February 2017 and July 2017. So we have the table. So we have rate of inflation from 4.5, 5.1, 4.4, 3.9, 3.6, and 3.2. From this table, it can be deduced that there was deflation between April and May. Deflation is the negative rate of inflation. So there's no deflation at all from February to July. So it is not A. B, there was disinflation between May and June. In May, it was 3.9, and in June, the rate of inflation fell from 3.9 to 3.6. So that is disinflation. Now, what is disinflation? Disinflation is a fall in the rate of inflation rate over a period of time. Disinflation is a fall in the inflation rate over a period of time. So the answer is B. And for C, the rate of inflation was at its highest in July. No, July was the lowest. So the highest was in March. So it is now C. Inflation decreased at a constant rate between May and July. May, it was 3.9. June, it was 3.6. There's no constant rate there. So the answer is B. We go to question 3. The Moroccan economy had a large negative output gap in 2017. And when we talk about output gap, it simply means that the real GDP growth rate is less than the productive potential of an economy. So that means the potential growth of the economy is less compared to the actual growth. That is when we have a negative output gap. So here they said the demand pull inflation, which one of the following is usually associated with a negative output gap? Demand pull inflation will bring about a positive, it might even be as a result of a positive output gap because demand is increasing. So it's not A. Decrease in unemployment will mean that output will increase. That would create a positive output gap. So A will bring about a positive output gap, not negative. Cost push inflation and high employment rate. Cost push inflation will be as a result of an increase in the cost of production. And high employment rate will bring about high income. So it is not B. That will bring about positive output gap. It's not B. And C, the real GDP growth is less than the long-term productive potential. That means the actual growth rate is less than the potential growth rate. So the answer is C. So when the actual growth rate is less than the potential growth rate, that's a negative output gap. So the answer is C. We go to question 4. Between 2010 and 2016, Indonesia recorded a 44.4% fall in the value of its exports. This resulted from a decrease in the demand for Indonesia clothing. Ceteris paribus, all things being equal, which one of the following is likely to result from this situation? So between 20,000, so here they said between 2019, Yeah, they said between 2009, 2010 to 2016, Indonesia recorded a 44% fall in the value of its exports. A fall in the value of exports will bring about a rise in the rate of unemployment and to bring about a fall in inflation rate. Because if there's a fall in exportation, it means a country's a country becomes less internationally competitive. And if a country becomes less internationally competitive, firms in the export industry would have to lay off workers to reduce their cost. And as a result of that, the price of goods and services within the economy would fall. So demand has reduced. As a result of that, price will fall. So a reduction in exports will bring about a rise in unemployment rate and a fall in the rate of interest, in the inflation rate. Thank you. So the answer is D. Question 5. The chart shows the current account of the balance of payment for Hong Kong in quarter 2, 2009 to quarter 3, 2017. HKs in billion. So they said, based on this, they said, which one of the following can be deduced from the chart? So there was a current account surplus in quarter 2 of 2013. Quarter 2 of 2013, there's a deficit, not surplus. It's not A. The current account surplus fell by 20 billion between quarter 4 of 2009 and quarter 2 of 2010. 20 billion. Quarter 4 of 2009. Quarter 4 of 2009. No, it did not fall by 20 billion. It's not B. C. The current account was in a deficit in quarter 2 of 2014. In quarter 2 of 2014, yeah, it's in deficit, it's in negative in quarter 2 of 2014. There's a negative 10. So it is C. But let's check D. There was a balanced government budget in quarter 2 of 2015. In quarter 2 of 2015, well, this is not a current account, this is not budget balance, it is current account, so it's not about about budgeting, so it is not D. So though we have a current account balance, not a balanced government budget, so it is not D. I think the point is clear. So the answer is C for question 5. For question 6, the chart shows that the ILO, the International Labour Organization, unemployment rate for Greece between January 2017 and October 2017. Which one of the following is the percentage change in the unemployment rate for Greece between January 2017 and October 2017? To find the unemployment rate, this is what we do. So we're going to have this. So it's going to be in quarter, the rate in 2017 minus the rate in October 2017 minus January 2017 divided by January 2017. Be divided by January 2017, yes. So it's going to be 20.9 minus 23.1 over 23.1 multiplied by 100. So that gives us negative 9.52. Negative 9.52. So the answer is B for question 6. We go to question 7. For question 7, they said in January 2018, Korea's central bank raised its base interest rate from 1.25 to 1.5. That's an increase. Explain one likely economic effect of this increase in the base interest rate. First, what is the base interest rate? The base rate is the rate which the central bank of a given economy charges to lend commercial banks money. That is what the base rate is. So an increase in the base rate will bring about a rise in the cost of borrowing for commercial banks. And if there's a rise in the cost of borrowing for commercial banks, this will in turn reduce investment, which will in turn reduce the aggregate demand within the economy. So that's question 7. We go to question 8. New Zealand has a population of 4.693 million people in 2017. In 2017, its net migration was 73,000. with more individuals arriving than leaving the country. Explain one possible impact on the level of unemployment of this net migration. First, what is unemployment? Unemployment is a situation whereby people who are willing and able to work are unable to secure a job. That is what unemployment is. And according to ILO unemployment rate, it simply means the willingness and ability of people. For people, unemployment, according to ILO, means the numbers of people who are willing to work and able to work and are making themselves available to work in the next 4 weeks, are willing to work and couldn't get a job within the next 4 weeks, but are willing to work in the next 2 weeks. That is according to ILO unemployment rate. Then, what is net migration? Net migration simply means immigration minus emigration. And when we talk about immigration, we're talking about the number of people that come into a country, and emigration, the number of people that goes out of a country. So when we talk about unemployment, unemployment is simply a situation whereby people who are willing and able to work could not secure a job. That is unemployment. And for net migration simply means immigration minus emigration. Now, when we talk about immigration, we're talking about the total number of people who come into a country, and emigration, the total number of people who leaves a country. Then, an increase in the number of working population will bring about an increase in the supply of labor. And if the supply of labor increases, it will bring about an increase in the level of unemployment. Thank you. I think the point here is clear. We're talking about unemployment rate. And when we talk about unemployment is a situation whereby people who are willing and able to work could not secure a job. That is unemployment. And for net migration is immigration minus emigration. And for immigration, it simply means the total number of people who comes into a country. And for emigration, the total number of people who leaves a country, who goes out of a country. That is emigration. So an increase in the net migration will bring about an increase in the working population. And if there's an increase in the working population, it will increase the supply of labor. And if the supply of labor increases more than the demand for labor, it will bring about an increase in unemployment rates. So that is the relationship between unemployment and net migration. Thank you. So go to question 9. In question 9, they said between January 2016 and January 2018, the price of oil rose from $30 per barrel to $65 per barrel. France is a net importer of oil, so which simply means France does a lot of importation. And if it is done in France, it means firms in France use a lot of oil. Now that the cost or the price of oil has increased, it will increase the cost of production for firms firms that do importation of oil from France. So that will increase that would shift the short-term aggregate supply curve leftward from SRAS1 to SRAS2. And as a result of that, the aggregate demand will also fall from AD1 to AD2, based on the fact that the price level has increased from P1 to P2. And the real output in France will fall from Y1 to Y2. So we can graphically draw that as this. So we have a graphical representation. So we have Y1, Y2, we have P1, we have P2. So we have the short-term aggregate supply, SRAS2, here, SRAS1, SRAS1. This is, sorry about that. It's a mistake here. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to redo that. Okay. This is aggregate demand I wrote. Let's see if we can erase it. No, this can't erase. Let's look at this. No, we can't. Okay. So I'm just going to change that. This is So, sorry, this is, can we just delete this? So we have, sorry guys, there's a mistake here. I'm sorry about that. Start with events, delete. Okay, now that we've deleted it, let's redo it. We have this, we have this, we have this. We have this, we have this, we have AD1, AD2, then we have AD1, sorry, sorry guys, okay, delete. Let me stop here, let's just do it again. Sorry guys, question 9. Okay, we'll be able to draw it now, sorry. Okay, great. So we have our P1, P2 represents an increase in the price level. So we have SRAS 1, SRAS 2, Y1, Y2, AD1, AD2. Yeah, sorry guys, it's just some mixed up here. So it's fine now. So yeah, it falls, price rises, and the real output falls. So an increase in the cost of production based on the fact that the price of oil per barrel increases from 30 barrels to 65, from $30 to $65 per barrel, will bring about a rise in the cost of production, which will shift the short-term aggregate supply curve upward, and the aggregate demand will shift leftward from AD1 to AD2, based on the fact that the price level has increased from P1 to P2, and the real output will fall from Y1 to Y2. So that's question 9. Thank you. Then we'll go to question 10. For question 10, they said, with reference to the overall trend of data, explain what is meant by savings ratio. When we talk about saving ratio is the proportion of the amount saved by individuals in relative to their level of income. So the saving ratio in January was probably 8.3, 8.4%, and it fell to 6% in July 2017. So that's the answer for question 10. We go to question 11. For question 11, they said the Central Bank of Egypt has estimated that the marginal propensity to consume for Egypt's economy is 0.6. In October 2017, the Egyptian government announced a 11.9 billion investment into renewable energy Egyptian currency. Ceteris paribus calculate the final increase in the national income resulting from the 11.9 billion investment. So we have to find the multiplier. For multiplier here, the formula for multiplier is 1 over 1 minus MPC, which is marginal propensity to consume. Then or 1 over MPW. So here we can have our 1 minus MPC to be. So here we have our MPW, marginal propensity to withdrawal to be what? 1 minus 0.6, which is 0.4. So then our multiplier here will be 1 over 0.4, which is 0.25. Then we have 0.25 multiplied by 0.25 multiplied by the amount of money invested, 11.9. So that gives us 29.5. 29.5, that's the multiplier. Thank you. So go to question 12. They said, define the term fiscal policy according to extract A. So we have the extract. The extract is here for students to read. We have the extract here. So this is the extract. So we have the extract here. So this is the extract. This is extract 1, figure 1 and figure 2. Then we have the extract A. So they said, define the term fiscal policy in according to extract A, line 6. We have line 6 after line 5, which is fiscal policy increase household consumption and high levels of investment in new technology for manufacturing industries. So what is fiscal policy? Fiscal policy is the use of taxation and government spending by government to achieve macroeconomic objectives. So that's question 12A. Question 12B. I'm going to leave the extra so that we can understand how the answers are here. For question B, they said with reference to figure 1, this is figure 1. With reference to figure 1, explain the term real GDP growth. Now, when we talk about real GDP growth, it simply means an increase in a country's output over a given period of time, which is adjusted for inflation. That is what real GDP growth is. Then according to figure 2 here, in January 2016, the economic growth rate has increased from 4.31 or 4.3 to 8.8% by September 2017. So we can see it from here, 8.8%. So from quarter 1 of 2016 to quarter 3 of 2017, there's a rise in the growth rate from 4.3 to 8.8. Question C. You can take a quick screenshot of this so that you can use it to answer the questions. We have it here. So I'm going back to the question now. Question 12C. Question 12C, they said, with reference to extract A, analyze one macroeconomic effect of the reduction in indirect tax. And when we talk about indirect tax, we're simply talking about tax on expenditure, which is charged by government, and is paid indirectly to the government. So a reduction in indirect tax will reduce the price of goods and services, which will in turn increase the purchasing power of individuals. So a reduction in tax will increase the demand for domestic goods. As a result, firms may have to employ more workers to meet the increasing demand. This will in turn reduce unemployment within the economy. A fall in indirect tax will shift the short-term aggregate supply curve rightward. As a result, there will be a fall in the cost of, as a result of a fall in the cost of production. So a reduction in indirect tax will bring about an increase in purchasing power for households. Then that will increase consumption within the economy. Aggregate demand would increase within the economy. Short-term aggregate supply would also rise within the economy, and that would reduce unemployment within the economy. That was question 12C. We go to 12D. It said, with reference to the information provided, examine the likely impact of increased investment on Romania's economy. So investment implies to spending on capital goods. For example, equipment, factory, offices, these are investment. Technology, these are investment in capital goods. So an increase in investment will increase aggregate demand. How? Because aggregate investment is one of the components of aggregate demand, which is high. So as soon as that increases, aggregate demand is expected to increase. So an increase in investment will bring about a rightward shift in the long-run aggregate supply curve. And this can be represented below. So let me just draw an increase in investment, which will lead to an increase in the long run aggregate supply, and which will increase the real output and also reduce the price level. So it can be drawn as this. So we can graphically represent it this way. This is our long run aggregate supply, LRAS 1, LRAS 2, Y2, Y1, P1, and price will fall to P2. So this will increase the longer, an increase in investment will increase the long run aggregate supply, and that means firms will be efficient enough, the price level will fall, real output will rise, and the long run aggregate supply curve will shift rightward from LRAS1 to LRAS2. Now go to question E. So discuss the likely effects of the increase in the rate of inflation on Romania's economy. An increase in okay. So yeah, I did not finish that, sorry. So an increase in investment will also bring about an increase in production levels in the country, which will in turn improve efficiency and output. According to the case study, Siemens and Ford have set up in Romania capital, and this can be classified as an investment, which will in turn increase output in Romania, leading to an increase in exports. Increasing export will bring about improvement in the balance of payment current account for Romania. However, the setting up of foreign firms in Romania may have a negative impact on domestic firms, as they may not be able to compete with foreign firms, putting them out of the market. So that's the impact of investments in Romania. So we'll go to question E. It said, discuss the likely effect of the increase in the rate of inflation on Romania's economy. The rate of inflation is the percentage increase in the prices of goods and services in a given economy over a period of time, and this is linked to the CPI, Consumer Price Index. So an increase in the inflation rate to 3.2% will increase the price of goods and services for consumers. This means their purchasing power is likely to fall. This domestic inflation may increase the demand for importation if relative price of imported goods are cheaper. This will have a negative impact on the balance of payment current account of Romania because imports will be more than exports. An increase in inflation may increase the cost of production for firms, and this may lead to cost push inflation, bringing about a fall in investment, and the fall in investment will in turn shift the aggregate demand curve leftward. With an increasing rate of inflation, workers may demand for higher wages to compensate for the increasing prices of goods. Firms might be reluctant to pay more as a result, leading to an increase in unemployment rates. Then a fall in consumption due to a rise in inflation rate may reduce government revenue through indirect taxes too. So this will in turn reduce government spending because a rise in inflation reduces consumption, and if consumption reduces, indirect taxes like VAT would also reduce, and that reduces government revenue, which will in turn reduce government expenditure. However, a rise in inflation rate may not affect wages as the labor availability in Romania is low. They said the labor availability, there's high employment rate in Romania. So as a result of that, the demand for labor might still be higher than the supply of labor. And if the demand for labor is higher than supply of labor, firms in Romania might be willing to pay higher wages to their workers. So inflation rate might not affect them. Also, the interest rate in Romania is on the rise. And if interest rate is increasing in Romania, it simply means people will start saving more than spending. And if people start saving more than spending, it means demand pull inflation in Romania would reduce. So that's question 12. We'll go to question 13. So I choose question 13 anyway. So they said, China's economic growth has resulted in a significant increase in pollution within the country. It is believed that recent government legislation to lower pollution will cause China's real GDP to increase at a slower rate. Evaluate the view that conflict between macroeconomic objectives are inevitable. So first, what is macroeconomic objectives? Macroeconomic objectives are what government of an economy are willing to achieve to improve the economic performance of their country. So the following are, what are those macroeconomic objectives we're talking about? We're talking about a low inflation rate, a low unemployment rate, a balance of payment current account, income equality, environment, protection of the environment. These are all government macroeconomic objectives. So what are the conflicts of macroeconomic objectives? So the following are the possible conflicts between government macroeconomic objectives. One, we talk about inflation and unemployment. A government at a given economy may want price stability, and a stable price will bring about increasing demand for goods and services. And if demand for goods and services increases, firms might be willing to employ more workers. It's because the demand for goods and services are derived demand. As a result of that, demand for workers might increase. If the demand of workers increases more than the supply of workers, that will bring about cost push inflation. So a fall in unemployment rate, based on the fact that demand for workers are increasing, will bring about a rise in inflation rate. So that is the first one. The growth and pollution. An increase in economic growth will mean that resources within the economy are used up, and this may bring about environmental damage. So that's the conflict, a trade-off between growth and pollution. And the third one is economic growth and income inequality. Most of the time, economic growth allows the owners of capital to be better off, as this increases their wealth, which in turn affect low-income earners, as they may not be able to afford certain durables, and this will in turn increase the gap between the rich and the poor. So there's always conflict or trade-off between economic growth and income, especially for low-income earners. So the gap between the rich and the poor might continue to rise over time based on the fact that the economy is growing. However, government macroeconomic objective might not bring about conflicts. Why? Because one, the growth rate might be the supply side of the economy rather than the demand side. If the growth rate is about the supply side of the economy, it simply means supply is more than demand. And if supply is more than demand, prices are expected to fall. And that would bring about affordable prices, and it will improve the living standard. Two, the current account of the countries may improve if the growth rate is as a result of increasing export. If the growth rate is export-led growth rate, it simply means export is increasing more than import. And that would bring about an improved balance of payments, not a decline or deficit balance of payments. Three, growth may allow the economy to invest in advanced technology, which may in turn reduce pollution. Because if the economy is growing and the country is able to buy equipment or machines or technology that would reduce pollution, that will bring about improved environment. And the last one, the extent of growth rate may also depend on which sector witnesses the growth rate, if it's the tertiary sector or the primary sector. If it is the tertiary sector, which is service sector, that is an improvement, and it will bring about a suitable environment for the country. But if it is the primary sector, because the primary sector deals with extraction of raw materials, and extraction of raw materials will bring about environmental damage. So that is why I said the extent of growth rate may depend on the sector that is witnessing the growth rate. So that ends paper 2 of May, June 2019, economics paper 2. Thank you.